people of Ghana, it's a Nigerian God pleasure bringing you political news in our channel, Ghanatube. Ghana has actually been giving us serious vibe, all the trendings that has actually been going on, all the news that has actually been going on in Ghana. I know our channel is always here to bring you all this news. Please search.
Next year on Ghana Tonight, 3 witnesses testify in the trial of former National Signals Bureau Director General Adumua and accomplices for allegedly diverting some 49.1 million Ghana cedis. Now, this is the latest in this story that has been unfolding in a very, very interesting way. I'm going to show you a bit of what's been happening in court over time. And at least what we do know now is that 3 persons will be testifying against the former boss of the National Signals Bureau, Adumua, and 3 other persons standing trial for what has now become a 49.1 million cedi scandal. We have a fair idea of what these witnesses will be saying in court. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight and follow us every step of the way. Now, based on some information that we have gathered from our sources, my colleague Dennis Baberi Wadame Esquire has been looking into the crystal ball on this matter. He's joining me in the studio right now. It's good to have you, Dennis, as always.
Always a pleasure being here, Alfred.
What is Octopus telling us?
Well, so we happen to know beforehand what exactly will be happening in court when the trial actually begins. You know, we are still at a stage where parties have been ordered to file their disclosures. That is to say, whatever documents you have at your end, especially from the prosecution, you give it to the defense. And that's how come you would have seen some witness statements having been filed already.
Yeah.
That means that prosecution is saying that these are the witnesses that are coming to testify in this particular matter, and this is what they will be saying. So, I mean, after that, they will just have to reconcile documents, what we call the case management conference, and then prosecution begins to put their witnesses in the box, and that's when trial actually begins.
That's right.
But even before that, we have a fair idea who these witnesses are going to be for the prosecution and what they will be saying in respect of that. But
so this process to avoid any surprises, eh?
Yes, right? Yes. I mean, okay. There's no ambush litigation is not allowed.
Absolutely.
So you have to let them know beforehand. But just before that, let's just refresh our minds as to who really the accused persons are, because it will put some of the matters into proper perspective.
Yeah.
That there is a republic against 4 accused persons. We have always indicated that only 3 of them are like natural human beings. The other one is a company. So we'll deal with the 3. So Adumua, who is the former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, he is the first accused person. His wife, Angela Ejeboatin, is the second accused person. And Mildred Donko is the 3rd accused person. We understand he was a relationship manager at one of the banks to Adumua. The charges include stealing, conspiracy to steal, defrauding by false pretenses, and willful causing financial loss to the state. This is in respect of some 49 million Ghana cedis, which they say, which allegedly has been diverted. Now let's get into the business for today, which has to do with the persons who are going to testify in this particular matter against these 4 accused persons. The first person we know is one Edith Ruby Opokuwa Adumua, yes. She happens to be the Director of Finance at the National Signals Bureau, and she's been at that position since 2020. She's worked within the national security sector for 18 good years, and she says that from 2017, she has worked directly under Adumua, then as the Director General of the National Signals Bureau. So she seems to be somebody who has been in the system and understands the workings of the system.
Absolutely.
Now let's look at the areas of her testimony. What really is she going to talk about?
Perfect.
She's going to talk about matters that relate to the financial operations of the Bureau, its bank accounts. She's going to talk about matters that relate to the financial operations of the Bureau, its bank accounts. So she'll give the number of bank accounts that they were operating, who the signatories to the accounts were, how money got into those accounts as in the source of funds. He also be speaking to matters of deposits and transfers of monies and other related matters. This deposit and transfers, it's the part where she'll be telling the court how much money was deposited at what account and how much money was transferred from what account to what account. As part of that, she'll also be talking about transfers and deposits into bank accounts that at the time that she was doing those transfers and deposits on the instructions of the first accused person, who is Kwabena Edumua, she believed that those bank accounts were actually bank accounts of the Bureau, only for her to later realize upon interrogation by the IOCO officials that those accounts were actually private accounts and did not form part of the national security accounts. And
that's part of what the Attorney General has been saying right from the get-go and giving some detail about this particular case.
Yes. So the similarities in the names of the account and all that will come up. And really, when you look at the testimony that this person is talking about, parts of the issues that the Attorney General spoke about are the things that have been talked about in this one. She also be testifying on matters that relates to some facilitations by A3. Now, A3 is Mildred Donko, the former UMB banker, who we understand now works, or before this incident, was working closely with A1 and A2 in managing some of the finances. Now, the testimony in respect of some facilitations that Mildred Donko performed or helped perform at UMB. This testimony actually relates to some transactions at some point where she was supposed to make some deposits. She was instructed to go specifically to deal with her. And even after she had left the bank, she was still out of the bank and allegedly still coordinating as to who to contact for what transaction. So all that is contained in the testimony of this particular lady. She also testifies on matters that relate to the transfer of the 7 million that was allegedly sent to ISC Holdings Limited under the instructions of Kwabena Edumua. Now, mind you, this is the crux of the whole matter.
Right.
This, $7 million, which converts to 49.1 million Ghana cedis, is the entire amount, which is the basis for this whole suit. So she also testified in relation to that. She's not the only person. There's also Frank Anani Dekpey. Now, he's a driver, and he describes himself as an errand assistant to the accused persons. He describes how he got to know the second accused person as a church member through getting to know the third accused person was the first person that she got to know. Right. She was running errands for her. Then she got to know
the third accused person being just Mildred,
yes.
Mildred Donko.
Yes.
Okay.
As a church member.
Right.
And then along the line, she had to run errands for the first accused person, and they also got along, and then he got to know the first accused person's wife. So eventually,
this is Kwabena Edumua.
Yes, and the wife. So eventually, he got to know all the three accused persons. The natural persons.
And this is a driver.
And this is a driver. He says he used to be a taxi driver, but now he drives a private car.
Right.
So, yes. He also testified
in the areas he's going to be talking about, because the driver, you probably want to know what conversations that
his testimony
was to.
Actually relates to, because he says he was an that they used to send him on errands to withdraw money and to deposit money. He mentions the names of the banks. He even gives specifics as to the number of times. He indicates that there are instances where they will send him to the bank, show him specific people to deal with. There are times he goes there with sealed checks so that he doesn't get to see what amount is on the check, delivered to some specific bank staff. He says that there are instances he goes to withdraw money with Ghana must go bags. So all that forms part of his testimony, and that is the driver. And this, so here you see it: sealed checks given to him by Mildred, directed to specific bank staff to do transactions without even knowing the amount involved. He goes on to mention the fact that he goes there sometimes to Ghana must go. He takes the money, either he's going to deposit the money or he's going to give money to the A1 or A3. A1 is Edumua. A3 is Mildred. He says instructively that he has never given money to A2.
A2 being Edubua's wife.
Edubua's wife.
That's Angela.
Yes. He also talks about deposits into bank accounts of Vertex Solutions. You recall that as part of the facts that the Attorney General is putting before the court, there are issues of other companies that were also set up and used as conduit for this. One of them is the Vertex Solutions. He says that he knows Vertex Solutions because he had deposited money into an account. He says he got to know it because when they gave him the pay-in slip, the name on the pay-in slip was Vertex Solutions. So that is his testimony. The final one is the one by the lead investigator in this particular matter. He's a staff officer at Iyoku, Frank Marshall Cromwell, another Frank. Hopefully he gives a Frank testimony. Mind the driver is also Frank.
Rightly so. So there are two Franks in there.
Yes. So hopefully they give Frank testimonies.
Hopefully.
So he too speaks to the entire matter that relates to the amount of money involved. Like I explained, the money is 49.1 million Ghana cedis, and that this money was diverted from the bureau's account from Fidelity Bank to a private account at UMB, and that this was done by the first accused person, Adumua. Now, just so to put the numbers into perspective, like I explained earlier, the 7 million per the exchange rate at the time is what translates to. So when you see the $7 million, it's still the same. The equivalent is
at the prevailing rate at the time.
Yes.
Okay.
So he also talks about that contract that was signed by Adumua on behalf of the National Signals Bureau. That's for Ghana on one side, and then the IC Holdings Limited for that software. He talks about the payment that was made into the private accounts. He says
Sano is going to be joining us in a bit. Adam Sano on this one.
Sure.
He's joining us on Zoom in a bit. Yeah.
Right. So this money, according to the lead investigator, was paid into a private account in 3 tranches. So when you look at it, 27.1 million, 21 million, and 1 million. He says that then eventually a part of it was paid into the account of this company that was a part of the contract, and then the remaining amount was used for acquisition of properties. So he gives a list of the properties that we had seen before and all that. He also indicates in his testimony the roles that he found each of the accused persons to have played in all of this. So this basically is going to form the body of evidence that the Attorney General will partly use to prosecute this matter, Alfred.
So a very interesting detail you put out there, and just in the spirit of and the principle as demanded of disclosures, we see this. So these are the allegations, as it were, and the testimonies of the persons whom you have named in this particular issue, in this case. So in the coming days, this is what they're going to present to the court.
Yes. So
this is what they know.
Mind you,
these persons.
It is the state that has a case against these persons. The state has alleged that they've done A, B, C, D. It is now time for the state to prove its case. Now the state says that for me to prove my case, these are the people who are going to help me prove my case. Because for some instances, they have seen and they can testify to it. So they'll enter the box and testify. When they are done, they'll cross-examine them. So if whatever they are saying here, it's not true, at the point of cross-examination, it will show. So that is how the case is going to proceed. But we are not there yet. I mean, the next hearing date, possibly they'll do the case management. That is to say, when you look at the witness statements, there have been some attachments. So they need to be sure that everybody has a copy of the attachments and all the documents are reconciled. From prosecution to the defense, and then even the court itself. And then they pick dates for trial to begin.
And this is the latest on the Adumua case, as we're showing right now. And so these 3 individuals, let's get their profile again. The first is Edith
Ruby.
Adumua.
She's the Director of Finance at the National Signals Bureau. She's worked within the national security sector for 18 years. She worked directly under Adumua since 2017. The next person is Frank Anani Dekpey. He's a driver. He describes himself as an errand assistant to the accused persons. And then the final one here is Frank Marshall Cromwell. He's the lead investigator, a staff officer at the Economic and Organized Crime Office.
And let's stay a bit further on this. And Adam Sano is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Sano, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. And this is information we're getting coming in thick and fast here on Ghana Tonight. And Dennis Pabay Wadam looking into it, the latest from this Adumua trial. And these persons, the 3 individuals we just had Dennis run through, the individuals that they are going to testify in this case for on behalf of the state against Kwabena Adumua. We're talking about staff of this National Signals Bureau, a driver who used to run errands. He says he used to run errands for the two of the accused persons, and then also we're seeing the lead investigator as well. How does all of this development strike you? I mean, and how the coming days will look like for you from where you sit?
Very useful and helpful when we have much more credible evidence that allows whatever prosecution is being done to take its course and hopefully get to a conclusion that is clear. And so if you have as many as 3 persons who hopefully are directly linked with the issues at stake, the criminality that we want to investigate and prosecute, I think that's extremely helpful and assuring. Hopefully their evidence will be concrete enough to allow our judicial system to arrive at a fair conclusion on the matter. And it's good to know that very important steps and strides are being taken to follow up on these issues. So it's not just that these things are being reported in the public space and no concrete follow-up steps are happening. That, I think, demonstrates a certain political will and commitment to the anti-corruption drive under this government.
Mr. Ano, appreciate you for...
Please do well to like, comment, and follow. Put on notification bell so you get all our news one by one. Thanks, my